It's the Saturday show on Spirit 621. Now, a lot of people don't like talking about money. Makes things a bit awkward. So, when it comes to actually talking about money with a potential employer and negotiating maybe a starting salary for a new role, it's something many of us really dread. However, when you shy away from negotiating, you are walking away from lots of potential upsides, be it increased pay, more flexible working hours, and other employment benefits. About to talk to Michelle Gibbings, author of Career Leap, How to Reinvent and Liberate Your Career. Michelle says that knowing how to ask for what you want is a critical skill, and she's here to give us a bit of advice. Morning, Michelle. Welcome to the Saturday show.
Thank you so much. How are you?
I'm well. It's good to get you back on. I love picking your brains. You're a fountain of knowledge when it comes to this sort of thing. Tell us why it's important to be prepared to discuss money and you know, get down to the nitty-gritty of negotiations in the initial employment stages.
It's really easy to feel nervous. People don't like talking about money. But if you don't talk about it, if you don't ask for what you want, you won't get it. You'll have zero chance of getting what you want. And so it's really important to do your homework. And by that I mean you need to understand the going rates in your industry. So the profession that you're in, the role that you have, your geographic location, all of that impacts what you get paid. So it's important to understand what's the sort of the average range, what's high, what's low, because you don't want to pitch yourself too low and you don't want to pitch yourself too high. Because if you go too high, you may be out of the running for the job.
Exactly. They might just put a line through your name pretty much immediately.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why people often then go too low. And if you go too low, what you can then find is you end up having the job and you get chatting to one of your workmates one day and you find out they're getting paid a bucket load more than you. And you go, well, how did that happen? And it's because they negotiated better. So
you want to do your homework and negotiate from a position of strength.
You do. And so one of those things is there's a lot of different sites you can go to. You know, Fair Work Ombudsman has information, but LinkedIn has information, Hayes, Glassdoor, and they will tell you ranges. And so when you know the range, you're much more able to go, this is the level that I should be pitching at for this particular role.
Fair enough too. Seek leverage is another recommendation that you put to people in this situation. Why is that, Michelle?
And so it's the basic law of economics. And so, you know, if you go back to sort of high school economics where we talked about supply and demand, it's the same with employment. If you're in a job which is in really high demand and there's a shortage of workers, you're in a much stronger position to be able to negotiate. So we know at the moment there's a shortage across many technology, IT professions. Go back a number of years ago, it was similar in the mining sector. And so what happens is wages typically are higher when there's demand for your role.
Of course.
Yeah, and so when you know that, you're able to use that as leverage because there's less of you to go around and people want your skill set. So make sure you use that to your advantage.
No two ways about it, Michelle. Look at the next headline. It says, look at the package.
And so that's looking at the totality. So yes, the money's important. But for some people, it's not just about the money. And when you think about your employment, it's about flexible working. It might be about your ability to take a 9-day fortnight, or perhaps you want extra holidays. Or is it that you need flexible working arrangements because you've got child-rearing responsibilities, or you might have ageing parents? So understand what you're looking for as a package, because you're not just negotiating the salary, you're negotiating everything. And so it's really important to make sure you understand all of that in terms of what you need when you go into that negotiation.
Absolutely. The next point you make is establish your trade-offs. What do you mean by that one?
And look, it connects to that earlier point. So what matters the most to you? When you think about a negotiation is a conversation, and it is give and take. Here's the things that I want. You need to understand what the other person needs.
Yeah.
And so what are you willing to give up? What's the most important thing for you? And what are the things where you go, actually, I can't take the job if they're not prepared to give me that.
Yeah.
And it may be, particularly around flexibility, if you have you only want to work 4 days a week and they're saying it's a 5-day-a-week role, well, you then might go, well, actually, I can't do it because I really need that flexibility.
Yep.
So that, for you, is your number one criteria. So understand what's important to you, and then you know, well, what are those lower-level things where, well, if they didn't give me that, it wouldn't be enough. I'd be willing to trade that off in return for getting something else.
Fair enough too. What about Remain emotionally detached. Why would you recommend that?
People don't like talking about money. And when you don't like doing something, it's really easy to get nervous about it. And also to get really fixated on the outcome that you want. When you get too fixated on a particular outcome, it becomes hard to negotiate because you almost go, this is, I have to get this. If I don't get this, I can't do it.
Yep.
And so then there's no room for you to move. So when you remain emotionally detached, you realise that, it's an important conversation, but you also recognise it's not the end of the world if you don't get everything that you want, because there may be other options for you. So go in prepared. Make sure that you've slowed your mind down, you're rested, you're relaxed, you're ready for the conversation. And then when you have it, that emotional attachment means it's important to you, but you're not going to die in a ditch over it.
Great advice, of course. Listen, it's been fascinating, and I do love catching up with Michelle. It's Michelle Gimmings, author of Career Leap and also the founder of Change Meridian. Fascinating insight into how to go about getting what you want when you're in your negotiations for your next change of job. Michelle, thank you so much for your time on this Saturday morning.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on again.
It's always a pleasure, and I look forward to the next time we get the opportunity to catch up. Take care and all the best, and we'll get back into the Saturday show very, very soon.